Hey, welcome back to the Big Grand Show. Thank you for joining me. In this video, we're going to discuss the State of the Union. Now, many of you may have watched the State of the Union the other day. Joe Biden gave a reasonable speech. He did make one big gaffe when he referred to Ukrainians as Iranians. You even saw the gasp on the mouth, on the face of Kamala Harris behind him. But all in all, I think he gave a good speech. It was a rather strong speech, discussing everything from Ukraine to the economy and how to get things going for all Americans. Now, the first thing that took me was the fact that I had to do a double take because I'm so used to there being a man and a woman in the background behind the president. So it was kind of cool to realize that there were two women, Speaker of the House and VP, right there. Hopefully one day there will be a woman in the foreground as well. But I thought that was kind of cool. It was something that made me stop and think for a minute about how actual amazing it was, considering she's the first VP that happens to be a woman. And I think that's rather awesome. Now, he talked about Ukraine. In the State of the Union, he discussed how, the intelligence was correct about what Russia was doing, that Russia needs to stop, that the Ukrainians are fighting an amazing battle against, odds that are just completely not in their favor. They are literally fighting evil. But, of course, Joe Biden stopped short of saying he was going to send troops into Ukraine because apparently he doesn't want to do that because they're not a NATO nation, and we don't want to start, have a direct war with Russia, which is feared would happen if we were to go into Ukraine and start fighting the Russians with the Ukrainians. So he's leaving them kind of to fend for themselves, except he did ask for more money and more weapons to be sent to Ukraine. But the problem is, how are we going to get them these weapons when their major cities are being encircled by Russian troops? It's a really rough thing to do, really, is to be able to get, with cut off supply lines, how are you going to get the weapons to them? You could do an airlift, but there again, you're getting into the airspace and risking the chance that your people or somebody's going to get shot down. That somebody else is going to end up getting your weapons. He also made it very clear, though, that if a NATO nation were to be attacked, that Russia would be met with the full might of the NATO alliance. That means our military and everyone else's. And so that's a scary thought. I'm very concerned about the prospect of nuclear war coming out of us being involved. But it's getting to a point where I don't think we have much of a choice. I think the rules are out the window at this point. Because for the longest time we're not going to be involved because it's not our fight. Because we don't want to get into a bigger war with Russia. But I fear that bigger war with Russia is coming anyway. Why not just rip the Band-Aid off of it? I mean, the world's already in tatters. What are we going to do? Wait till they start invading Alaska? The thing is, if appeasement doesn't work, it just doesn't. But back to the State of the Union. He even had, a representative there from Ukraine in the, their diplomat, one of their diplomats was there, which I thought was cool. The First Lady wore a dress with a sunflower on it. And their colors. of blue and yellow, I guess that is. Or do they call it gold? I don't know. But he vowed support for the Ukrainian people and told the Ukrainian people that we were with them and that the rest of the world is pretty much with them. But like I said, he was very authoritative when it came down to setting basically a red line in the sand. That if Russia attacks a NATO nation, that they will be stopped. That NATO will fight back. I hope that little red line in the sand stands, because I don't think Russia's going to stop at Ukraine unless they turn back. Unless they turn back now, I don't see it happening. They're going to end up taking all of Ukraine, and they're going to invade somewhere else. I wasn't too sure of this a few weeks ago, or even 3 or 4 days ago. But I don't believe they're going to stop there. After that, he mentioned a few other things that may have gotten some people on the left a little upset. Mainly discounting the ideas of the defund the police notion. Now, if you don't know, defund the police isn't really about getting rid of the police. It's about changing, taking some stuff off their plate, so officers aren't being called to certain things. But the thing is, I think you can do this without defunding them. But there's a lot of people on the left that are going to be a little upset about that, because they support defund the police. They support taking funds from the police department and creating other units within the city, their cities, to take care of things like mental health calls. Which I completely understand the notion. I still don't think you have to defund the police to do that. But I support their idea of creating community outreach programs to where you don't have to send police to every call, where you only have to send police to calls where it's there's potential for violence. But that's going to piss people off. He said we're going to steal Russian, or we're going to, take Russian oligarchs' yachts and stuff like that. And I thought that was kind of cool. But considering we have our own oligarchs here and we don't do anything about making them pay their fair share, that would kind of ring a little hollow for me. He laid out how his plan for America was to rebuild. We want to rebuild the roads and infrastructure. We want to increase all sorts of job creation. But at the same time, he made clear that billionaires and major corporations need to start paying their fair share. Which I was like, okay, that's great. I heard you say that. I heard Obama say that. And neither one of those times, none of those times did y'all say that, when y'all were saying that, did that ever happen. Taxes for the top kept dropping. And then under Trump, it got even worse. So, take that with a grain of salt, because that's not going to happen either. And then it's going to be something else liberals are going to be mad about. Because he's saying he wants to raise taxes on the rich, and he ain't going to do it. It's just not going to happen. None of the bills, it's just not going to work. The infrastructure bill, as he laid out in the State of the Union, is set to, or said by many economists, especially even conservative economists, that it will help the inflationary problem that we're dealing with. The Build Back Better plan, if we could get any of that passed, would help Americans. And he ended the conversation, or the speech, by saying that the state of our union is strong because of the American people. And I wish I believed that. I wish I believed that. But over the last week, I've seen too many Americans supporting Russia. Too many Americans supporting an authoritative dictator invading another country for no reason, under complete false pretense. And I see too many people over the last 2 years that they've lost the phrase compromise from their vocabulary. You have a group of people in this country that are just set to destroy this country. You have people across this country wanting to start a civil war because they were asked to get a vaccine. That they were asked to wear a mask. You've got people that are wanting to start wars and want to fight other people and beat people up simply because they disagree with them. Is that really a strong union? Is it really a strong union when not everyone has the same rights? Is it really a strong union when we can't get anything done through compromise? I'll believe it when I see it. When I start seeing people actually caring about their fellow Americans, then I'll start believing it. But right now I see too many people hurting. Too many people being hurt by others. And I'm not talking about, government, lockdowns or mandates or anything like that. I'm talking about being kind to your fellow neighbor, just your fellow American, your neighbor next door, your gay neighbor, your bi neighbor, your lesbian neighbor, your transgender neighbor, your straight neighbor, your Catholic neighbor, your Muslim neighbor, your Jewish neighbor. There was a day where you could have a conversation with people and they wouldn't bite your head off because you had a different viewpoint. They would ask you why you have your viewpoint. That doesn't happen anymore. You tell somebody, you try trying to tell somebody about white privilege, they act like you're some, cancer or something. Wanted to invade the schools with CRT. So Joe Biden says the State of the Union is strong. I simply don't agree. And I hate to be, so down on things. But I love this country. I love America, and I hate the fact of what we're becoming. In 10, 20 years' time, if we keep going the way we're going to look just like Russia. Or worse. We can't keep going if we're divided like this. We've got to come together. And I would have thought, that Americans, liberal, conservative, would come together against Russia. Russia is not our friend. They never have been. They've never been an ally. They want to destroy America. Vladimir Putin made it clear that that's what he wants to do. He stated it many times as his goal to destabilize the United States. Unfortunately, he's done it. And all he had to do was make sure Donald J. Trump was elected. But we can heal. We can get better. And I think that's what Joe Biden's trying to do. I think he wants America to heal. He wants Americans to work together again. But let me know in the comments what you think. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you down the road.